right? It wants to see the leaves clapping, see the grass waving. It needs to see something in motion, or it just dies. And then the last element, earth, water, wind, fire. The word fire comes from the Latin root focare, which means focus. If there was a fire anywhere in this room, wouldn't your eye automatically be drawn to it? Even if it was a candle. Your eyes are drawn to fire. They are always, almost always center stage. They can't help it. In fact, my niece Tara has long red hair, and I got her a card one time, and it showed this teenager laying on a bed with her red hair flowing down, and she said, "I can stay calm in a crisis because usually I am the cause of it." Which tends to be a fire trait. All right, so fire is focused, intense, it's passionate. These are some fire words. My way or the highway. Right? With us or against us. Fire, it doesn't know gray. It will burn rubber. It will burn houses. It will burn baby clothes. It will burn whatever it is. It needs to burn. It's not the most discriminating of the elements. In fact, I'm working on a devotional, and it says, you saw the fire, and you heard a voice from the fire, but you saw no shape there. And fire elements, they need a cause. They don't always know what the cause is because they saw no shape to the cause. I have a friend who's a fire, and she wrote 7 protest letters to different organizations about 7 different causes. She just had to protest. It didn't matter what it was. I protest, I protest, I protest. So these are the building blocks. Now, how many of you relate most to earth? Solid, predictable, dependable, you can be counted on. We're going to do it. You're getting a brief overview of your second congregation here, Steve. So how many earth? Let's see the earths. That's why you like to come to the late service. Gives you time to get ready, right? All right. How many of you relate more to water? Waters, hold up your hand. Good. The waters are the flexible, go with the flow, getting along. How many of you relate more to wind? Wind's in the back. Almost restless, eager to move, always in motion. All right. How about the fires? Let's see the fires. Whew, a lot of fires. Fires are intense, passionate. Okay. Now, which element is the most powerful element? Is fire more powerful than water? The fires. How many fires think you're more powerful than water? Fire. We are the most powerful. Do you see? Every element is powerful, right? And every element can be destructive. As we have seen, the wind and water got together. Did you see that satellite photograph? Oh my goodness, of the hurricane. Unbelievable power in wind and water. Okay, so the anger styles. Let's talk just a minute about the anger styles. What is the anger style of earth? Let me ask you this. Could an earth person be mad at you and you not know it? Because earth buries things, right? I can handle it. And in fact, how long could an earth person be mad at you and you not know it? For a long, long time, right? Earth does not show its cards. Earth does not reveal its emotions. Until 285 years later, there is a crack on a fault line. Fault line. Somebody did something wrong, and the whole earth is just turned. And when earth is mad, everything turns upside down. Am I right? Okay. So that's the earth anger style. Now, the water anger style. What does water do when it gets hot, literally? First, it does what? It boils. Does it boil instantly? It's a slow boil, right? So water has a slow boil, and then if it keeps boiling, what does it turn into? Steam. If you put your face over it, it can scald you, right? And if you have a pot of boiling water that nobody is paying attention to for hours and hours, what happens to the water, the boiling water? What does it do? It just evaporates, right? And leaves a cracked pot. I have done that. Cracked a pot on my stove. Boiling water. Okay, so there's the anger style of water. What's the anger style of wind? Rages, throws things, moves things, has to see drama. Am I right? Here's some laugh. It may be the cow and the kitchen sink, and you're going, where did that come from? And it's like, I needed this for drama. It has nothing to do with it. So wind is the dramatic. Now, how long does wind stay angry? Not very long. It rages, right? And then, whew, feels better. Oh, I feel great. Let's go get a pizza. And you're going, and the earth person is saying, I will never speak to you again. And the last, what's the last? Fire. What is the anger style of fire? It burns. And it rages. Now, does fire stay, how long will fire stay angry? As long as it has a fuel source. So if you want the fire to burn down, what do? Remove the fuel source. If you are a wind, do not jump into the argument with them. It will just get bigger. If you are a smart wind, what you do is you pull back and let the fire calm down. And then you just go and put it out. So, all right, now I'm kind of teaching just like do you know that there's only how many keys on a piano? 88. All of the symphonies of the world are created on those same keys. All of the letters, all the words in the English language come from 26 letters. So by understanding the basics of these elements, the 4 elements, then we're going to start going a little bit further. Now, earth and fire have one thing in common, and that is they are focused on results. In fact, they want orderly, predictable results. So if you have an earth-fire combination, you have a workaholic. Focused results. They are the Sherman tanks. They're not always discriminating about the task, but they will do it. And as long as they're in charge, they are happy. Okay? Now, your wind and waters are all about relationship. The winds and waters, think about the ocean, plays together all day long. Does it really accomplish anything? In and out, in and out, in and out. And it's having a great time, in and out. And the fire and earth are saying, will you just do something for Pete's sake? Of course, we know that they happen to balance the earth, right? The tides happen to really balance the earth. So your wind waters are relationship-oriented. Your earth and fires are task-oriented, results-oriented. Now, when it comes to pacing, which 2 elements want to move the fastest? Your winds and your fires. They only know one word, and that is now. Or yesterday. When do you want it? Yesterday. That's a wind, fire, and motion, right? Your earth waters, how do they tend to move? Slowly. It takes time for them to do their work. You can't just stick a seed in it, throw a little water, and then come back the next day and say, where is it? I planted you yesterday. You know? Now, what has happened as we've been working with this material is when you watch the dynamics, when people get it and when kids get it, the thing about the elements that I like is they're so visual. And so many of the other personality assessments that are out there, and they're all good. It's an attempt to understand the human personality. But if you say the word, if you're a dominant personality, for example, what does that mean when you get a picture? Everybody's going to come up with a different picture, right? Now try translating that across cultures. I come from El Paso, Texas. I speak Spanish. So when you say dominant, the only way you could translate that into Spanish there would be 2 words. You could say either patrón or jefe. Right? So the patrón is a dominant person who owns the stuff. And a jefe is someone who's just a chief appointed in charge. Do you see how you start immediately with words? You start going down different paths and scattered. When I say fire, every culture will see that same picture. All right? Now, in family dynamics, think about this scenario. This one woman, she went through the path, and Cozy can get you all this assessment, and I recommend that you do it. This family, there were 4 of them, and this woman said, they called us the zoo. And we called ourselves the zoo. We were always yelling and fighting. And it was just the 4 of us, but we were, just everything. And she said, we took the assessment, and we realized that my husband is a fire, I am a wind, My daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, is a fire, and our 8-year-old son is an earth. So you can imagine with 2 fires and a wind, there was just constant conflagration. And the poor earth son is just sitting there thinking, will I ever grow up soon enough to get out of this house? So what happens, she said, when they got the elements, they realized that, she said, this is what we did. So now when my husband, the fire, goes into a rage, being the wind, I used to jump into it with him. You want to fight? I'll give you something to fight about. She says, so now I just back down. He calms down, and then he says, honey, you're the wind. You see more of the globe than I do. What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? And she'll talk about that. Now, the 13-year-old daughter, who was the fire, they put her in charge of all of the family chores, including for the adults. Fires need to be in charge of something. So now she dictates who does what chores and when. And she's in heaven. And the 8-year-old son puts the charts together. And these were her words. She said, we went from being a zoo to being a highly functioning team in 48 hours. Because when you understand what makes a person tick, then you begin to respond to that in their language. Is this making sense to you all? And it's not that that other person is stupid. It's that they are seeing the world differently. Waters see the world in terms of relationship and stability. When you pour water, it always seeks a level, doesn't it? It wants things to be calm. And a fire, if they haven't confronted somebody that day, they don't feel like they've lived. Now, fires are the opposite elements of water. And all the time, you'll hear fires say, you know what, I just don't respect Sally. She won't take a stand on anything. In fact, I heard this woman, she said, I was about to fire my secretary. Listen to the words. I was about to fire my secretary. I said, why? She said, because she's so mamby-pamby. She won't take a stand on anything. So they did the assessment. She said, oh, man, do I need her on my team? I said, why? She said, she's a water. You don't want water to necessarily take a stand, do you? Because the only way water can take a stand, it has to be in what state? Frozen. Water can't grow anything when it's frozen. You need water to be the diplomat. You need water. She said, so now I set the agenda and I say, this is what needs to happen. I give it to Sally, and Sally diplomatically meanders through the organization, loving people into it, and I have full agreement by the time she gets back. I was talking to a contractor yesterday, and he said, oh, man, he said, I just fired this guy. He said, he's my best worker. He can do anything. And I said, Jorge, you have got to start confronting the team. You have got to start cracking the whip and getting them to do stuff on time. He looked at me, he said, I'd rather quit. And so this guy, he said, I'm a fire. So what did he say to him? Quit! Fires love ultimatums. It's their favorite tool. And so this guy, Jorge, encountering this fire, what did the water do? Poof, he quit. Evaporated. And the guy literally, he was sitting in the car we were driving, he started pounding his head on the steering wheel. He said, I lost my best guy because I didn't understand this. And then he looked at me, he said, are you Indian? I said, no. He says, the elements, the way you understand them, are you part Indian? I said, no. It's all God. You see, it's all God. With companies, there was a paving company we were working with in Tennessee, and they had teams of 2 people, 2, 2, 2, and 2. And he says, we've just got these teams, and there's 3 of them that are just not performing. And then these other teams are just really going for it. We did their assessment. These 3 teams that were underperforming were both waters. They were having a great time.